It is. Welcome, everyone, to the Rotary Club of Gainesville Tuesday meeting at the Cade Museum. Please silence your cell phones, and if you're watching on YouTube, please register your participation by sending an email to info@rotarygainesville.org. Up first with our song and pledge, Jeff Sims.
Thank you. Please join myself and Gordon with My Country 'Tis of Thee, known as America. Gordon? My country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom reign. And please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Joining us via Zoom for our invocation today, Kevin Thorpe.
May we pray. Master, we are thankful for another opportunity to call upon your name. Thank you for this club, both globally and locally. Continue to bless every assignment that is ours. Thank you in advance for today's presentation as we learn more about our innovative town gown partnership. We pray for your sake and for your glory. Amen.
Thank you. Please be seated. If we have any guests or visiting Rotarians, and seeing none, we'll move on to announcements. Whoop.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you all hear me okay? I can't even tell if the microphone's working. Okay. Didn't want to go without introducing this fine gentleman. Some of you who are older members from 2014 or before may recognize him. He was a member of our club. He was transferred to North Carolina. And name's Gary, and he's in Greensboro right now. He's visiting, coming through town. He was instrumental in a lot of Boy Scout activities, the annual values dinner, all kinds of stuff. This gentleman is very welcome, and we're honored to have him. Gary?
We have a couple of announcements today. Up first, Jacob Atem.
Good morning, everyone. First, mark your calendar. August 3rd is our SSACO gala. It's at the Best Western on the 39th. But first, I want to thank our club, how not only support SACO, but the great work that has been done. So our own, very own, Susan and Richard Allen had sponsored a Rotary Club of Gainesville table, and the table consists of 10 people. And so we are in need of 8, and I have a ticket. So first come, first serve. I'll be there if you want to come, and it will be wonderful to give you an update on our recent trip and where our money goes. So I just want you to come and see me later for our club. Also, we have a sponsorship package which you can pick up different level, and you can support me. And I'm so excited to see all of you at our gala. So thank you so much.
And Guy Jopling will be joining us for an update on Rotary Youth Exchange.
So Deborah Newell has come up and talked and asked about host families and where we are with that. So I'm making another plea. We are still looking for host families for the 2 inbound students that will be arriving, one at the end of this month and one in the beginning of August. I will tell you from firsthand knowledge, my wife and I and our kids hosted this past year Jackie from the Netherlands, and it's an amazing experience. We talk to Jackie still, even though she's back in the Netherlands, every week. Our kids have a new sibling, so it's a great opportunity to really spread the Rotary message with an inbound student. So if you have anybody that you need somebody to talk to that could potentially persuade them to host, I would be more than happy to do so, and I know Deborah would as well. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Guy. Up next, please join me in welcoming our president, Ryan Thompson.
I like that. She had me questioning who the president was. It's my privilege to announce our newest member of the club, Rebecca Nagy. Our board made a special point to unanimously approve you, so welcome back to the club. I appreciate that. I want to thank everybody that was here last week. I think we had a really good meeting. I've received a lot of really good feedback. I think we had 20 positions filled on the various committees, and I think almost every one of you filled out one of the surveys. So I really appreciate that. Doing my best to get an online version for those that attend on Zoom and those that weren't here last week. So I promise within the next couple of days I'll be able to get that up. But really good feedback so far. And then the only other announcement, August 10th, right around the corner, is Rotary Leadership Institute. There are 9 of us that are already registered, so thank you to everybody that's already registered. There are a couple of seats left if you're interested. I think there's 1 for part 1 and maybe 2 seats for part 2, and then there's a graduate course on the foundation. So if you're interested in that, please come see me. Love to get you registered. And with that, I will turn it over to Guy to introduce today's speaker.
Good afternoon again. So I'm very excited today to have Elliott Welker here with us. Elliott is the Assistant Director of UF Innovate at the Sid Martin Biotech located in Alachua, Florida. Elliott supports the growth of biotech businesses. UF Innovate is a leader in the business incubation industry, recognized for its exceptional laboratories, specialized scientific equipment, entrepreneurial programming, and networks of mentors, advisors, and collaborators. UF Innovate has received numerous accolades, including the International Business Innovation Association's Randall M. Whaley Global Incubator of the Year in 2013 and 2017 and in 2020, as well as International Soft Landings designation for international companies looking to establish a presence in the United States. In his current role, Elliott manages entrepreneurial programs that educate, engage, and inspire entrepreneurs to develop their companies in Florida. Elliott's dedication to fostering innovation and entrepreneurship is not limited to his professional life. In addition to his work at Sid Martin, he founded Beaker and Flask, a unique wine destination academy in Alachua, Florida. This establishment offers a diverse selection of wine varietals worldwide, expert knowledge to guide wine selections, a monthly curated wine club, private events, wine tastings, wine education courses, and wine cellar curation. Beaker and Flask was recently honored with Wine Spectator's 2023 Award of Excellence for its well-chosen assortment of quality wine producers. Sounds like a fun and fellowship place. But Elliott's approach to service at Beaker and Flask emphasizes kindness, optimism, intellectual curiosity, work ethic, empathy, self-awareness, and integrity. Elliott has a Master's of Business Administration in Marketing and Entrepreneurship from the University of Florida's Warrington College of Business. He also earned a Bachelor of Arts in History with a minor in teaching English as a second or foreign language from the University of Florida. He was a Bob Graham Center for Public Service Student Fellow and Poe Center for Business Ethics Education and Research MBA Fellow. His academic journey began at Santa Fe College, where he completed an Associates of Arts in History, and he graduated from PK Young with a high school diploma. In addition to his professional and entrepreneurial pursuits, Elliott is actively engaged in various leadership roles and advisory positions. He currently serves as the Vice President of the Florida Business Incubation Association, where he supports business growth and development in the state. He is also chairman of the Alachua County Economic Development Advisory Committee, offering valuable insights into economic development issues to the Board of County Commissioners. He holds the position of secretary at the Alachua Chamber of Commerce and treasurer of starting an organization dedicated to promoting startups. Additionally, he is advisory board member for the Santa Fe College Perry Center for Emerging Technologies and the Santa Fe High School Institute of Biotechnology, contributing to education initiatives. Please welcome Elliott Welker.
All right. Well, thank you guys for sharing your time with me today. It's very generous to hear my spiel about UF Innovate Accelerate. Thank you, Guy, for the invitation. There's a few of you that are, I would say, are advanced in the innovation realm. So I would say Richard Allen, Ryan Kern. Guy's been there as well, helping us with financing some of these companies. But there are advocates and champions for innovation and entrepreneurship in this room that I get to work with quite consistently. So thank you all as well. I'm not sure how to advance the slides. Are there any? Oh. I can drive it. Yeah. See if they get the back. It's dangerous not to let me have slides because I like to talk and I like to talk fast. So if you guys need me to repeat anything, just holler and I'll go backwards and press rewind. And then also, if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt. Holler Elliott, they'll bring you a mic so folks online can hear the question and the answer as well. But very informal, interrupt me, I'm used to it. And then just so I know who's in the room, how many of you folks have been to any of the incubators here, whether it's the hub? Okay, cool. All right, I'll make it a 2.0. You guys are very engaged, civically minded individuals, so thank you. A little of this will just be an update. And so what you'll see on there is every day we're working hard to essentially dig a deeper Buffett's moat, make this area more competitive, unlock new resources, reduce friction. That's kind of the story behind the gators that are in front of you. So life is very frictional. When you get angry and you kind of get frustrated, please use those gators and let that relieve you and remove the friction. But that's what our organization's all about. It's to make sure that entrepreneurs can move as fast as possible, that they can take their founder dollars, stretch them as far as possible, and create economic opportunities and prosperity for other folks. All right. Guys, I'm just going to wrap through, and then you just catch them up. All right. So I work at Sid Martin Biotech, and Sid Martin Biotech's been around since 1995. It was originally called the BDI, so Richard, you probably remember it as the BDI still, but it was renamed after Sid Martin's death in honor of the work that he did to bring that asset to North Central Florida. Ever since September of 1995, this is our 30th year going into 2025, so we're on a campaign now to really highlight what has happened in Alachua, in North Central Florida, in Gainesville, around that innovation ecosystem that's formed. So not only do we have the Gainesville Innovation District, we also have the Progress District in Alachua. By no means will you find many counties or regions in the United States that has 2 innovation districts that are growing at exponential rates. And what that took was people with foresight to say, hey, we had the fertile ground to go ahead and make these large investments of time and money and recruit companies here that believed in the vision before they could see coffee shops, before they could see houses, before they could see factories and plants and laboratory space, believe that we could execute on that vision. So we're going in, Sid Martin's going into its 30th year, but really we're on like a 70-year time lapse. Oh, awesome. Great job. Thank you, guys. So every year we go and we poll our companies and we find out what type of economic impact they had. And that's very important to us because like our customer lifetime value is not based on how much those companies pay us for laboratory space or entrepreneurial support services. What matters the most to us is the economic impact that they create through hiring people, buying scientific equipment, selling products. Like Ryan back there, Ryan Kern actually has a product that excites me because most of the time the companies that I get to work with are in research and development. When I'm working with them, I may never see this therapy or this product come to market. I just got to get them through this valley of death where they don't have any revenue coming through the door, that they're living on essentially borrowed time, whether it's money they borrowed, founder dollars invested, angel capital, and once they get some typically once they get some SBIR, STTR grant funding from the federal government, that's where you see the angel capitalists and then also the venture capitalists come in and help extend that runway. So that's the world I live in, is that early stage, the inspired individuals that founded the company. About 40% of my companies are coming from the University of Florida. The other 60% are coming from all over the state, region, and world. And so that's why we have that International Soft Landings Program, is because this area, for being a rural and poor economic area by USDA standards, which is also in my world, we have just abundant assets for people that have innovations that want to create life-changing products. And something to be very proud of as a community. You all took part in that and continue that legacy on. So I say this goes back 70 years. It really does. And it's only keep going 70, 100. As long as we're a community in a city, we will be in the innovation business. It's not going away. One of the things that I'm most proud of on this slide is you'll see it's cut off at the bottom, that $11.4 billion in aggregated funds attracted. So that's from client companies that are in our program that have gone to Boston, San Francisco, New York, and have brought those dollars back for a viable business idea that's scalable. So not many programs, and business incubation is a little bit of a broken industry because we're terrible at tracking our own metrics. We just happen to be one of the best programs in the world at tracking these figures and validating them through economists that we use within the state of Florida. Another factoid that we really love is the SETI, so socially and economically disenfranchised individuals. So that's anything from veterans, women, people of color. 47% of our portfolio are people that typically underperform economically because of access to capital. We're able to, through programming, through networking, through things like that, we can take these entrepreneurs and address them to resources that really are compounding effect to their business and just unlock it sooner in their continuum of development. And then over 90 companies supported. So not just Sid Martin Biotech, which is a 30,000 square foot facility. I have 18 resident clients right now and 12 external. The hub has another 60 companies plus another 12 external. So it's a big portfolio, and I'm just a small member, or small person, or a small piece of that portfolio. And I'm just dedicated to biotechnology. And then this is our annual impact. So every year, again, it's mandatory to be in our program. You got to tell us how many jobs you created, your average salary, how much funding you've raised. And why that's important is that we can then go to the state of Florida, we can then go to USDA, the EDA, ask for more funds to help support this, to show that it's good money after great outcome, and it helps keep us sustained. So we don't, as a program, we're not generating a ton of profit. Anything that we make that's over our operating gets reinvested into the entrepreneurs, whether it's bringing in pitch coaches, whether it's bringing in speakers that can give them that edge while they're commercializing their technology, whether it's buying advanced scientific equipment. Every year we're writing grants for advanced scientific instrumentation. Why that's important is because that stuff does not stay advanced very long. You know, you buy a piece of equipment that's $200,000, in 2 years you gotta buy another one because that one's now just old news. So we're constantly looking for opportunities to unlock new capabilities for our clients. And then on this slide, this is just a recap of our program. So our economic impact, again, and this is, as you guys know, about half the land in Alachua County is not taxable through property taxes. And that's because it's University of Florida, it's Santa Fe, it's the VA, it's churches, it's nonprofits, things like that. So as a university that's not taxed with property, with its 1,800 acres of property, we help increase the base of the taxable revenue that's being generated by businesses in the county. So that's really our main focus, is what we can do to feed Alachua County and create new services from those dollars. We're also a huge energy consumer. So our electric bill is about $35,000 a month just at my facility. And the hub's a little bit of a more contemporary era, so their bill is probably the same as my bill, but it's 3 times the size of a facility. So that drives our utility in Alachua's, is municipalities, and then they're one of the biggest purchasers of GRU energy as a wholesaler, and then they resell it to us. So that's what excites our municipalities, especially around biotechnology, is that we can bring in these quality jobs, allows us to increase the property taxes essentially, and create more opportunities to provide services to our constituents. And then this, again, this is a little bit 2.0 with what we're working on, but we did because we're going into our 30th anniversary, we took our economic impact from 1995 to 2022. 2023 was the year that we had to dig out all this data. It was funded by the USDA. USDA has been a partner of our program since 1994 when they helped us build our biotechnology center. And they wanted to see what, when they're putting in their good money, what was the outcome? And we had really fantastic outcomes. So that average, when I was talking about the lifetime value of a client, what the USDA and what we're looking at is that $101 million figure. So when I'm recruiting a company, and our program recruited 11 companies last year. When I'm recruiting a company and we have our elected officials, we have other stakeholders in the community coming in, and we're doing these road shows, if we land a company, on average, we can expect $101 million in the lifespan of that company ending up in Alachua County. So that's huge. That's what I take, everyone on the team, that's what we take to these meetings, is that if we can land this one company, it's $101 million. And that's with $1995. So it's even greater now. And that pipeline, I'm happy to report, that pipeline is really strong. And really the world is our oyster. We're attracting companies from Chile, from Argentina, from Canada, Alachua County is going to be a suburb of Toronto soon if we keep it up. And a ton in Europe. So the people see the quality of life that's in Alachua County. They see the college towns, the small, they see the springs. They see that it's easy and it's affordable. And the things that resonate with them are the same things that resonate with all of us that are looking at quality of life, affordability, and schools. That comes up. Every one of these conversations, I'm getting people that are coming down here, they have young kids, and they're moving countries. They're not moving cities, they're moving countries. And they want to find out about that. So that's why you'll see, like, Guy was up here for 15 minutes talking about my bio. We're involved in everything, and I'm one of a group of people that we try to be involved in everything, because in order to attract these companies, it's a holistic approach, and you may need to call a commissioner, you may need to call a developer, you may need to call an attorney or a CPA or a banker, and that could be the one thing that removes the friction that we need to get this company here. Ryan helped us, Ryan Kern in the back, he helped us recruit one of our most recent companies, which is Canary. Canary, anybody heard of Digitized Olfaction? So Digitized Olfaction, Canary is a New York City-based company that we attracted down here, and they're actually commercializing, yes sir? Olfaction. So olfaction, the olfactory bulb is in your nose, and it helps you detect scent. So when you smell the roses, what's letting you know you're smelling the roses is that olfactory bulb. It's a gland. And what they've done is and again, they were in Manhattan, and they raised millions of dollars, and they were looking for the best place in the world to commercialize that technology. And the founder is a former DARPA project manager, coordinator. So he's a PhD, and he used to travel the country looking for other researchers that were creating technology. They call it DARPA hard, not DARPA insane. And it's technology that really pushes the edge of what we're capable of as a society. And the government's really interested in funding those type of projects because that's where like things like GPS might come from, or where new vaccine therapies may come from, is that type of really risky investment by US government into stuff that just, we don't know if we're capable of it, but if we have the right people in the room, we are capable of it. So he caught a wind of this technology and it inspired him to start a company from it. And so it's a licensed technology from NYU that they brought to Alachua, Florida. And with that, they brought neuroscientists, hardware engineers, and software engineers in order to create this sensor that's implantable on the gland of your nose. And then what they've done is they're monitoring the synapses that fire off in the location of your brain, the synapses that correspond with that scent. So when you smell the roses and I smell the roses, I may not know I'm smelling them, but you do. But because we're the same species, it's the same part of our brain. And so that's what they're mapping. And they're creating essentially a library of these reactions, these synapses that fire off when you smell certain scents. So you're digitizing the scent world. And they're using this with animals, and it's non-terminal, so it doesn't kill the animal when you implant it or remove it. Ryan, he does manufacturing at a micro and nano scale, and that's what they're really interested in, is that that's what they require in order to create these devices. So if you think about dogs that you see in the airport, and they're trying to detect something, typically they're trying to detect explosives because it's too expensive to train a dog for narcotics and put them in an airport situation. Training a dog is not scalable, so it's very analog. It takes about $60,000 and takes about 7 or 8 months to train that animal. And they can only detect about 2 scents. So 2 different types of narcotics, 2 different types of viruses, 2 different types of explosives like gunpowder and TNT and things like that. And with their technology, they're able to take a trained animal, detect where it's responding to those scents, map it, and then now every dog that's wearing one of these sensors, whether it's trained for that narcotic, that explosive, that virus, can now detect it passively. And then you don't need a human because with digital technology, you're firing back the signal. So if you think about ports where you have to cover 10,000 different containers, you can just let the dogs run, and then they're firing back signals to the officers and the agents. And you only see that in single-digit years. You'll see it in really probably more volatile places on Earth, or places that are more concerned about border security. Like if you think about islands that want to keep their island peaceful, you'll see these dogs start popping up with branded collars, and they're trying to detect explosive narcotics, viruses, things like that. And then the 30-year projection on that is eventually that technology will make it into our HVAC system. So if you're going back to work and you have some sniffles or whatever, the HVAC system, the air return, will pull that scent off of you and detect that you may have COVID or you may have some type of fever or whatever. And they won't diagnose you, but they'll say, hey, red flag, go home, quarantine, you should see a doctor. But because all these things have sense, and if they're able to map it, it just unlocks this new layer of healthcare and prevention and quarantining, and that's being developed right here in Alachua County. So we're very excited about it, and they're across both Hub and Sid Martin. Doing good on time? All right. I get into the stories. I'm sorry. Yeah, there's a lot of them. I got 90 of them. I'll be careful though. The other thing that really excites us is this figure where it says direct wages $94,000. That is a significant job. That is a high quality job. And goes back to these people are going out buying homes. They're putting their kids in schools. They're buying cars. And they're just feeding our local economy at a high level. And then the indirect jobs. So one of the crazy figures. So we had a group of economists that do these type of reports for the state of Florida for a bunch of organizations. And they kept telling us our induced jobs were $113,000. We're like, how can that be? Because we've tracked it. We have 8,500 direct jobs plus a 1.7 multiplier. And what that means is that for every job that we're able to create at the incubators, to help create at the incubators, we expect 1.7 indirect jobs. So that's our baristas, that's our car salesmen, that's our barbers, things like that. That induced is a new figure to us that we had experts explain to us is, that's the follow-on. So all these people that have the direct and indirect jobs, those are over 30 years, the other jobs they helped you create as well. So that's huge. And you won't find many programs that know how to even track that. So that's, and we're very fortunate to be able to have the resources that we got from the USDA to do that project. And then this is just a logo field of companies that have been clients of the program and have graduated into the ecosystem in Alachua County. So it's getting to be a bigger and bigger community. On the startup front, we've had some setbacks recently in Alachua with some layoffs from more mature ventures, which is actually a problem it's tragic and terrible, but also it's a problem that is good to have because it means we reach this level where we have mature ventures and they're going through a down cycle and they'll go through an up cycle. So we have to get better as a industry within our region of really attracting larger companies, not just the early stage ones that I work with, but those 50-person companies, those 100-person companies, attracting them to the area so that they can make us more resilient. So that if Thermo Fisher, who is my neighbor in Alachua, if Thermo Fisher does a layoff of 200 people, I don't have 200 jobs. I'll have 200 jobs in 6 years when these companies that we're helping de-risk graduate out, but not the next day. So that's something that we need to get better at as a community is like, where can we get those enterprises and where's our value proposition to those enterprises that can make those snap hires? We did win one, which is Jack's Laboratories that's coming to Alachua, and they're occupying Momentum Labs, which is an advanced biotechnology center that's about double the size of where I work. And that was actually built with private dollars. So that's another evolution of our innovation ecosystem is that a lot of this time, and Richard, don't kill, my understanding is that UF and Santa Fe and a few stakeholders helped drive that, but it hasn't been that big of a cohort of individuals. And now we're getting more and more private individuals that see UF, Santa Fe, the county, the city putting in dollars, and they want to put in their money too. And that having that private capital piece is really huge. We're considered an emerging market for biotechnology now. So you'll start seeing us hopefully in more like real estate reports for the people that have those core competencies that want to build laboratory space. They'll see us now. As Alachua County, they'll say, hey, all right, that's a red dot of activity and I want to develop there. So that's coming. Oh, and then, so another note, 9% of the biotechnology startups in the state of Florida originated from either the hub or Sid Martin. So that's huge. That's huge. It's a driver. That's our core competency is attracting and help finding those inspired individuals that have an idea, but they don't know what to do next. Kind of showing them the course and showing them that it's not as risky. It is risky, but not as risky or as you don't have to be alone in that development, which is typically what stops people is they don't want to lose their whole life savings and they don't want to be alone. And no matter what, you're going to hit that experience potentially. I don't wish it on anybody, but to have a whole organization and also a huge network like Ryan and Richard and Guy that know how to help you and get you through that as quickly as possible, that's huge. And then BioFlorida, which is our statewide industry organization, it's a nonprofit. It was founded in Alachua County. Weaver Gaines, I think, was the initial chairman, and that was in 1998. So BioFlorida remains a big partner in our program and helps opportunity spotting with bringing biotechnology companies to Alachua County. And then that's a call out here, and it resonates true today. This is our initial article for the center, but Institute offers shot at success. Every day, that's what drives us, is that we're trying to improve somebody's shot at success. That if we can remove a barrier or unlock a resource sooner or create some type of value, attract more capital, the quicker that we can do that in their continuum, we'll see that compounding effort moving forward. And then our failure rate for companies that have gone defunct coming out of the program, it's only our success rate's 82% coming out of the program 5 years on. So that means that we're building these sustainable ventures, something that even without a University of Florida support, that 5 years on, they're still plugging away and growing is huge. Typically, you see a drop off once they leave us. And then that's where I work every day. And again, the biggest draw to this area is the people. It's the workforce. Every time we talk to companies, that's what they want to know is not, it's not necessarily the amenities. The first conversation is who's going to help me make this dream into reality. And we were very fortunate to have both University of Florida and Santa Fe creating ready to work technicians, scientists, entrepreneurs. I couldn't ask for a better community as somebody that's trying to attract these companies. Perry Center for Emerging Technologies in Alachua, which is a Santa Fe site. Mary L. Samrani, who's academic chair, she's fantastic. I've seen our building go from mostly people that have these post-nominals, PhDs, that are trying to figure out whether to go to the industry. I've seen technicians from Santa Fe College come in, hold their own, and are actually filling up the building at a quicker rate than our UF grads. So that's definitely, a huge nod to Santa Fe College for going out. Oftentimes we have a playbook, but oftentimes our first introduction is Santa Fe College, and then also UF ICBR, which is the Interdisciplinary Center for Biotechnology Research. It's a mouthful, that's why they call it ICBR. But those two resources help us close so many of these companies because it shows that they don't have to go out and buy $14 million worth of shared science or worth of equipment. They can get shared access to it as a per diem or just hourly rate, or somebody else will run it. The fact that you can take yourself as a solo founder and really just multiply yourself using these resources that are available is huge. And Mary L. Samrani and Santa Fe, she'll train people on the equipment that you need to operate. And they have that conversation from the first time they meet a company. What can I do to get our technicians ready to work? And that's my neighborhood in Alachua. So all those logos are essentially companies that have graduated out of the program but have remained in progress district. So we're very fortunate that they're low-hanging fruit for us because we have on average, 4 years to really sell the area to them and really build a network that keeps them here. And we've been doing that for 30 years. So I'm standing on a lot of other people's success at building that community. And then the hub, which you guys might have passed on the way here. So that's 3 times as large as the facility I work at. It's mixed use. So in there, they have this dynamic ecosystem or dynamic community of tech companies, biotech companies, advanced manufacturing, service-based companies. So you go down the hallway, it's just a showcase of innovation, entrepreneurship, and it's really a cool and fun place to be to see the entrepreneurial hustle and energy. And all these places, the hub sits on top of where AGH used to be, and Sid Martin sits in a cattle field. And so it's, we took these raw materials and through just thousands of people's time and energy and capital, these communities have formed around it. And one of the things, so at Gainesville, this is what gets me in Alachua is that we're very lucky. We get 2 shots with these companies because when I get an entrepreneur, I'm in a rural setting. I get to see hay bales. I get to go to the Calvin's banquet. Town I work in is 10,700 people. And then not every entrepreneur wants to work in a town of 10,700 people, even if it's a biotech cluster. So we get another shot with downtown Gainesville. So they want to be in a place where they can throw a rock and hit an intern or a cafe, a bar, a restaurant, whatever. You have that. You have both options. And oftentimes what they want to do is they'll split the site. So they'll have an R&D lab at SID, and then they'll have office spaces at the hub. And that is such a strength. People love options. The more options and resources we can show to these people, the better chance that we get them. And then this is our client portfolio. So it's changed a little bit. I sent Guy a deck last week, and we are always updating our PowerPoints. So it's even updated since what I sent you. So really, our client portfolio right now is about 54% biotech. So this community, the reason this community has such a has this biotech industry is because of the life science activity that's going on at University of Florida. So to this day, it's one of the largest life science departments by faculty, by students trained, and then by new intellectual property that's generated. And that intellectual property is a very important piece because a company that has intellectual property typically is worth more. So if we think about the $101 million in value and that $11.4 billion that's come in from outside capital, that's because most of these enterprises, every one of these enterprises I work with has intellectual property behind it, which helps you be more competitive and protects your advantage. And then this is illustrative of kind of our deal flow coming out of UF. So I said I had 40% of my clients were coming out of UF. These are the usual suspects for departments. And then everyone always points out, like, liberal arts. Why is liberal arts 61? Are English majors creating technology? No, they're not. It's the physicists. So astronomy, things like that. That's in College of Liberal Arts and Science, along with your history majors like myself and your English majors. You have these advanced material scientists that are kind of exploring the galaxy, and they generate a ton of new life science or a ton of new technology. So you think about things like looking for life on other planets. You might get a College of Liberal Arts and Science, or really the origin of life across the galaxies and dating things. You'll get our College of Liberal Arts and Science folks. Our medicine, that's like we're commercializing things that are life-changing products to help heal people, treat them. Medicine is a big originator of that. Pharmacy is my underperformer, and I actually have 3 pharmacy companies I'm supporting right now, and what they're doing is it's actually regenerative medicine. So the pharmacy college has exosomes and stem cells, and they're using those to essentially put active pharmaceutical ingredients and transport them into your body so that you have, a quicker response to therapeutics. So I have a company that's creating cosmeceuticals using exosomes, which are a byproduct of cell culturing, and they're loading them with beneficial things. They actually have a DoD contract they just got, or a grant to investigate putting like antiviral active pharmaceutical ingredients into exosomes to see if that helps disinfect wounds that combatants get in forward environments. We have a bunch of that. And that's a big growth area for us. Anything regenerative medicine, there is a stigma in the market that our companies are coming across, is that there's a ton of famous people using regenerative medicine. So if you think Tiger Woods, if you think Tom Brady, why they're able to be world champions, Phil Nicholson, why are you able to be a world champion later in life? You're probably using some of these regenerative medicine products that are cultured from your own exosomes and stem cells. And the moment that one of these guys comes forward and says, hey, I won in this at 50 years old, and here's why, then it starts getting regulated. So it's pretty rampant market, and it's kind of the FDA doesn't really know what to do with that market yet, but that's going to be a big growth area for our community in the coming decade. So be on the lookout for that. And I think that's it. I'm getting cut off. Okay. All right. Oh, thank you. I love the effects. Thank you. And then our secret sauce, no one size fits all. You meet one entrepreneur, you've met one entrepreneur. We're full, like whenever you meet an incubator operator, we're always full of truisms, and it's terrible. But when you're interviewing somebody and you're interviewing somebody commercializing an advanced technology, no one's done this before. Typically, like why we're able to generate as many jobs as we do is that if an early stage company could outsource some of this work, they would. But it's cheaper and it's quicker typically. They can't do that because no one else has done it before. And so that's why they have to hire. And that's why like our quality of our community is so important to our program and the success of the program, is because sometimes you found your company and the one person that you need to make this into reality is coming from San Francisco, it's coming from Atlanta, it's coming from New York, and they want options when they move here. They want multiple job opportunities if something goes sideways. And they are maybe bringing families, so they're really reliant on the quality of schools. And it's things like that. All this is part of the calculus. So a lot of the front end, you got a question? Okay. I'll hurry up. I don't even know what time. I left my phone over there. 8 minutes? Oh my God. All right, so we have a bunch of tools that I'm going to start talking a little bit faster. We have a bunch of tools that help us de-risk these enterprises. So anything from pitch clinics, which Richard back there, you probably heard 10,000 pitches, and 90% of them are terrible. So what we try to do is help people with storytelling, especially with a technical founder. And we've been very successful with the pitch clinics. We actually contract out to what we call as Pitch Doctor. It's Debbie Kleiman. She's based out of Babson in Boston. And she does a great job of coaching people through that storytelling element. Is that you're a technical founder, you might have the cure for cancer, but good Lord, no one understands that you have a cure for cancer. You never get to that point 30 minutes into the conversation. So we're trying to button up people's narratives, make it succinct. We help them with pitch design, things like that. So the communication part of these companies is so huge, because you can have somebody that is an MD, PhD, JD, they have every post-nominal, but they can't tell their story. And we work with them and a bunch of outside investors on that, or outside consultants on that. The other tool that we use that really heavily is this fluency score. So it's a FICO score for your startup. So we're not in the business of picking winners. Like when we're interviewing companies for the application and get them into the program, I'm not a technical enough person to tell you whether this technology has legs. Essentially, what I'm looking for is coachability, affability, overability. You cannot get rich by yourself. You cannot build a team if you're a frictional individual that no one wants to work with and hates your guts. So we're really looking for somebody that can be in this environment and recruit a team and then have the agility and the emotional intelligence to realize, hey, this isn't working. We need to pivot. And we use fluency score to, one, kind of structure their thoughts on commercialization. What path do I need to get to market? And then two, here are the blind spots around that path and where I need help with. And then we create entrepreneurial programming that's tailored to what that company, and then also an aggregated approach across portfolio, what multiple companies need. And we just go out and we find those resources and deliver them on time. We deliver them right at the right moment, because every quarter we're having these people update their fluency score, which tells us where the blind spots are. And we did over 140 entrepreneurial programs this past fiscal year. And it's all just based on these different buckets. And a lot of it's capital, a lot of it's workforce, a lot of it's leadership skills, communication skills. And that's what runs most of our day. It's just trying to connect people to these different tools and resources. Yeah, we do a ton of lunch and learns, vendor shows, webinars. You'll see local companies up there. Our hometown team, can't ask for a better hometown team. We travel to different entrepreneurial ecosystems, and we remain high performing. One of the things that we don't have going for us is that we're not in a city of tens of millions of people or a single million, so we don't have the volume. But that's also our strength, is that you can get to know all these different resources really quickly. You know, if you try to get to meet every attorney in New York City, you're there for 40 years. Here, it's like you can meet every attorney and then pick the one that is the best fit for you, and you can do it in a week. So that's nice. Yep, time. Cool. All right. Yep. No, that was it. Yep. Oh, I guess they had to bring you a mic. He's got one behind.
Yes, I just have a question. You mentioned twice how education quality for the schools in the community have impact on people who decide to come here, or maybe they decide to leave here.
Yep.
How much has the recent Tallahassee interventions impacted things?
So really, it's more on like the school board level, and I'm in Alachua. So Alachua, our schools are a work in progress. So typically when I have a company come into Alachua, and part of the issue is marketing too, is you only hear the bad stories, you don't hear all the wins. So through like the Alachua Chamber, we're creating a fund called Alachua Ascend Fund to help create incentives to keep teachers there, recruit teachers there, and reward them for improvement for students. So on Alachua level, it's something that we hear about every day. And we're very fortunate that we're on a regional, kind of a regional strategy where, hey, if you don't like the schools in Alachua, you can still go to Newberry, you can still go to Gainesville, you can still go to somewhere else that has the quality schools that you're looking for. So I wouldn't say that Tallahassee's policies don't come into our conversations very frequently. Even on like Florida, where I hear the most about Tallahassee is on why are there no incentives for my company, which has this great potential, why are there no incentives for my company to locate here? And part of it is, state of Florida, we have the sunshine. We don't have typically a problem recruiting companies, so why offer incentives from the state if we don't need it in order to land that company? It would make my job a whole lot easier if we had the schools issue figured out, especially in Alachua, and the community is amazing. There's a task force that's helping out, all the commissioners, all the city staff. It's something that is a everyday conversation. How do we push that needle? Because that's what's happening with these companies, is that they come in, hey, and we don't know how many businesses we lose, because a lot of people stalk your community online and they move on to the next one. We only know about the opportunities that make it far enough that they've called us, met with us, and then they pass, and then they've been generous enough to give us that feedback loop of here's why we passed. I'm going to stay in Boston because, even though it's Massachusetts, and I can't, I'm left with a little portion of my salary. The schools are fantastic, and I'm going to do what's right for my family. And you don't blame them. It's just, hey, Herd, what can we do to get our schools better? That answers that a little bit.
Does the university get a piece of the action of each one of these companies?
No. So typically, if they have like 40% of the portfolio at SID, if they're commercializing UF technology, there is a little piece that UF gets from licensing fees, from royalties. They may retain equity, so if there's a liquidity event and exit, they'll get a clawback on some of those dollars. And then the other 60%, the only affiliation they may have with UF is that they're in the business incubators. They're getting entrepreneurial resources through UF research, and then they also hiring typically UF students. So it's not, SID would be completely sustained if we got a piece of every one of our companies that was acquired. If we had just 1% of that, I'm sure we would be a sustainable program. But right now we still do licensing fees, and we still go hat in hand for appropriations and grants. Yeah.
I so appreciate your approach. I've seen the city and the county, offer tax incentives and just all kinds of crazy things, and the companies come here and then they leave. Yeah. And it sounds like what you've built and you're building is going to keep people here, and it's going to stick.
Yeah, we hope so. 30 years, and we're doing some capital improvements at Sid Martin that get her looking more like she was year 5 than year 30. And that's one compliment that we always get to our companies, is that even if these resources are getting kind of long tooth, we invest every year in them to keep them show ready. So that is another marching order that we have, is how do we, one, keep our program show ready, our facilities show ready, but then also our community. So we're always kind of working the ropes, essentially, of hey, we have a company coming in. Here's all the appropriate resources. Let's make those introductions. Let's do it as quickly as possible and maximize their visit, and just keep that muscle memory going. So that's probably the economic development side. We're not technically economic developers, but that's how we help out. Okay.
Thank you, Elliott. Speaking of marching orders, I was told there's one rule that I had to stick by, and that's finishing at 1 p.m. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you being here today. It's really amazing. You could really tell your passion. It has to be an exciting, job and opportunity to be able to work with all these fascinating startup companies. In appreciation of you speaking with us today, we would like to make a donation to the Child Center for Early Learning. And thank you very much. Appreciate it. Next week's speaker is the Rotary Youth Exchange outbound students. The ones that are returning this year will be speaking and sharing their experience. You don't want to miss that. It really is impactful. And then the colloquialism of the day is push the envelope. Pushing the envelope belongs to the modern era of the airplane. The flight envelope is a term from aeronautics meaning the boundary or limit of performance of a flight object. The envelope can be described in terms of mathematical curves based on things like speed, thrust, and atmosphere. You push it as far as you can to discover what the limits are. Reading Safari winning ticket is 684. 684. With that, meeting is adjourned.